LinkedIn is the biggest publisher out there and like the place and space where people want to go and learn about content.
I'm a big advocate of trying something different. And one of the reasons I love working with you and at PIP is no one ever says, that's not going to work. We've always done it this way. And I think you have to figure out what works and then double down on that.
So Kevin, it's so interesting because we think everybody knows what we do. And a lot of people do. I mean, 99.9% of our business is referrals. And I'm always so like proud and excited about that.
Yeah.
But even we struggle, right, at helping our clients understand what we actually do. And when people ask me, I say we take your idea from concept to close. We are a full service agency that you can count on, from scoping your project to learning about the market, to developing the market, to marketing to your clients, and then servicing them. I think that is one of the reasons why we have been so successful at retaining clients. Sometimes we work on small engagements and they will use us for a short period of time, but they always come back. So what do you think is some of the real challenges that organizations have with their sales and marketing strategy, talent, retention? Tell us some stories.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've lived that firsthand, right? I mean, in terms of staffing and executing on projects, bringing a product to market has gotten a lot more difficult than it was 15 years ago. All right. It's not a one-trick pony. I think as we've evolved, though, we realize that it needs to be a mix of services, and it needs to be marketing when appropriate, business development, conferences, market research. I think that's the only way this works. To me, I would never want to be an agency that's a one-trick pony, because I don't think that works. And I never want to sit next to a client at the end of a quarter and say we missed our projections because of the following. And I think I'd be having more of those conversations if we didn't have an all-inclusive service offering. One of the things that I'm always focused on is how you scope the projects at the beginning and ensure the client understand what's at stake and what needs to be done, and come up with a project, a solution that makes sense on a number of fronts and not just a one-trick pony. And I think with AI and some of the other changes in the market, I'm really excited about it because that's changing so rapidly. So I think that's just one example of all these things come together to make for a more efficient organization.
Well, and truth be told, you always have been really hardcore sales,
Yep.
which is absolutely needed.
Mhm.
And COVID did change that. Just grind your way to a number, which a lot of people can do. Cold calls, networking, seeing people in person, that still probably works. It's just a lot harder.
Yep.
And I've had to convince you along the way, our organization isn't really that much different than others, where you're the sales guy, I'm the marketing person.
Yep.
We have a customer success manager, and we have our differences, but we all know that we got to hit a number at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Boost your company's digital presence with Partner in Publishing. We leverage proven strategies to expand your reach and increase sales. Whether you're a startup or an established business, we tailor our digital marketing strategies to meet your specific needs. From search engine optimization and high conversion digital ads to organic social media and targeted email marketing, we employ essential marketing strategies to achieve your mission and deliver impactful results. Partner with us to meet and exceed your sales and marketing goals and stand out in the education sector. Learn more at partnerinpublishing.com.
Generally, we've had lots of success with certain things, and we just focus in EdTech. So, question for you in terms of why do you think it matters that we're like solely EdTech focused?
Well, first of all, just to kind of your last point, the worst thing you could do in terms of transition is to do the same old thing. I see clients, people I like and respect, that are just doing the same thing they did 10, 20 years ago, and they're wondering why it doesn't work. The world has changed dramatically, post-COVID, as you mentioned earlier. if you're still working the same way you did pre-COVID, it's not gonna work. Like, I think you have to look at things for today's world, and I see a lot of folks kinda like a deer in the headlights, "Well, AI is coming, this, that," but in the meantime, we're not doing anything, you know? And whether they do that with PIP or their own, I'm a big advocate of trying something different. And one of the reasons I love working with you and at PIP is no one ever says, "That's not gonna work. We've always done it this way." And I think you have to figure out what works and then double down on that. So I think that that, to me, is a very important piece. In terms of ed tech, I think there's a lot to learn about ed tech, right? People forget. We've worked with startups that don't really understand the sales cycle, for example. I mean, to not be able to understand the sales cycle and then to explain to their investors why they're not seeing new orders in the middle of the year or whatever, that puts them at such a disadvantage. I think giving folks an overview of what makes the business tick and how you approach not only sales, but marketing, how you approach conferences. Are you staffing conferences? Do you have a goal for a conference? Everything you do should be goal related, and you should have some metrics around those things. And I think it coming up the way we did, we work with a lot of smart people over the years, and I learned a lot from them. And I think I'd like to think we could take what we've learned and take it to a higher level. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. That's why I would never consider going to pharmaceutical or something else outside of ed tech because we just don't have that knowledge. And I think that's true with video, for example, AI, anything that we do that's out of the ordinary. The fact that we're bringing that knowledge of the business with us. I just had a social media group like come to us last week and say, we're giving you all our social media because we're paying the social media company a great deal of money, and we have to explain to them what an adoption is or how this, we're spending all our time training them on the basics, and it just doesn't work. They also don't know how to talk to faculty. And that just sounds like a small thing, but if you're, I always try to put myself in the client's shoes. I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to spend a lot of money on a social media organization that doesn't know the basics of the organization. So I think that's the secret of the sauce.
One of the things that you and I talk about a lot is just this work ethic
Mhm.
and what it really takes to get these companies, projects, initiatives off the ground. And totally respect the work-life balance thing. We all have stuff going on in our lives that are sometimes not great. But at the end of the day, at least between 8 and 7 o'clock at night, if you want to be successful, you need to be focused on outcomes. And it's just been so interesting to me talking to other founders of businesses who are sometimes borrowing money, home equity lines of credit at stake for not putting their kids through college,
Yeah.
borrowing from family and friends. These are people who want you completely focused on their success. And times have changed. People do want balance, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think you need to work with partners who understand, have been there, and they know the grind, right? You cannot be successful if you're doing anything part-time. You have to pour your heart and soul into the success of your business. And I think you want a partner that's doing similar stuff.
Yeah.
What's your take?
You know how I feel about that. I think, and I understand the work-life balance. It's different generation. They think differently about, time at work. But you have to drive results, right? And at the end of the day, that can't get lost in the mix. We're signing up with our clients to ultimately drive results, to have a good experience with us. And that means showing up on every webinar on time with an agenda, with results in hand, whatever it might be. That might be, preparing for a meeting on Sunday night, whatever it is. And I also think that human beings like that. I think on some level, you want to be successful, you want to have a sense of purpose, but that only comes if you like what you do and you like the people you're doing it with. It only becomes a grind when you don't like it. All right. If you don't like doing it, then of course you're looking to cut out early on a Friday and go to the beach or whatever. Not to say we don't do that occasionally, but I do think if that becomes your focus, well, how am I gonna get out of here? Then you'll never be successful at what you do, and I think that's true not only at PIP, but in every industry.
Well, there's no senior leader I have ever worked with or any founder, CEO, executive who is saying, "Don't go the extra mile."
Yeah.
There's that's just not been the crowd that we have connected with to see success. We don't think all jobs are equal, but when you're in a senior leadership role and you are scoping work, committing to KPIs, building strategies, driving results, you, at least as the leader and the face of your company, have to be singularly focused on success. They're trusting you
Yeah.
with some of their most important life decisions, especially in the mid to small startup space. These are people who have potentially worked their whole lives to get here,
Yeah.
and it can't be part-time. And so I think we have some success stories of companies that we've worked with that, and it's not easy, that have actually seen some exits.
Yeah, I've seen some great exits, and none of them all of them worked hard. I've never seen someone kinda work part-time and find themselves in a successful exit or find themselves in a successful lifestyle business. There is a lot of nose to the grindstone when it comes to that, and I think that there's no way around that. Yeah, you can work smart, and there's tools out there that could make you more efficient, but when we sign a deal, I mean, if 99% of our business is referrals, that means we know these people, right? It's not like a faceless huge corporation. We want that person to look good by hiring us. And if they're an ed tech startup, we want them to further their dream, really, and their vision of becoming a more successful business. Otherwise, we're just not doing the right thing. And I think that could become hard on people like you and I and our senior management team, but it's a lot more than just working at a regular company. There's a lot more at stake on it.
We do wanna work smarter, and we
Yep.
wanna have more success, and you have been a real advocate of
Yep.
ensuring that we're using and leveraging AI to work smarter and reach scales we've never been able to reach before. Let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing as potential opportunities and really what's resonating with some of our partners. Our conversations are different, so this will be an interesting topic.
Yeah.
I'm all about content marketing, and as I say, everyone is a publisher. If you are not putting content out into the world that tells your story in ways that show you are solving problems, making students more successful, improving the work-life balance of faculty,
Yep.
it's not about 3 to know and 3 to show. That was
Yep.
when we were going door to door.
Mhm.
Now it's about storytelling, but also it's just not about telling the story, it's about reaching millions of people. And so we have seen an opportunity with AI like never before, right?
Yeah.
How do we combine the tools and the marketing tactics to get to more people? Because at the end of the day, you've always said this, it's really a numbers game.
Yeah. Well, anyone who's ever read one of my emails knows why I like AI, Lisa. I, uh, I think it's amazing. I'm learning a lot about it. We've hired a couple of consultants to come in and help us figure out how to use it, right? You can't just say, "Oh, AI will do that." It's gotta be, how do you use it? How do our clients wanna use it? How do we use it internally? I like brainstorming with it personally. Like, I'll say I have a particular service line, um, that we wanna grow, or we think our clients need X. How can I What are 5 ideas that our client might not be thinking about that could help them grow this part of their business? And I get some good ones. I have a lot of information about in my, my agent about PIP and about the industry in general, and it's amazing that what they come up with. They're not all great, right? But it's a starting point, and I love bouncing it off new clients or even, old clients about, "Hey, have you thought of doing this?" And oftentimes they haven't, and I think that it sparks new conversation. Obviously, it could make us more efficient. I think those things are a given. but I think you also need a human touch. I personally believe that being in front of people is going to be more important than ever because I do believe that AI could be the great equalizer where people are just, doing things the same way. I think it's having people that you can trust though, that hand it over to. You're not handing it over to IBM to do your AI, right? They only want to work with maybe care about Fortune 500 companies. We care about every company that we work with. And now we have, in the last 3 or 4 months, we've become, I wouldn't say experts, that might be an exaggeration, but pretty close. We know a heck of a lot more about AI than we did a few months ago. We've seen it in action. We've seen clients just light up when it gets off the ground, and it's making a real difference for them. So I am so rejuvenated around AI and what it can do and the little things it can do for us internally. But maybe more importantly, it helps our clients dream about bigger things. And even if we're not working on it, just being able to throw that out there and say, "Hey, did you think about this?" Is exciting to me because I could see people light up and think it through. And I always say, I AI'd this. This is my idea because and no one takes offense at that. They actually really like it. So, I could talk all day about AI, but I'm really excited about where it's going. I think it's going to make us a better organization and it's going to help our clients tremendously.
It makes people nervous, right? We had a
Sure.
town hall. I heard this morning, oh, some of the SDRs are really worried
Yeah.
that we're organizing to eliminate their jobs. I really don't think that's the case.
Right.
I think it is going to separate those that can take calls to close from those that are just checking in.
Right.
And so it's not about letting people go. It's about giving them more opportunity to do what they do best. And we have stats. An SDR doing it the old way can make about 300 calls a month with very low connection rates. The opportunity with AI is that we can send 5,000 emails and get 500 calls on a calendar of people who are actually interested in talking to the SDR versus 60% of their time manually researching who they have to call, then manually putting an email together or getting that name into a database, then getting an email out to these people and responding to all the undeliverables and the people who say, take me off the list, or trying to find the needle in the haystack. We're going to be able to automate so much of the grunt work so that the SDR can actually speak to people who are
Yeah.
interested.
What a concept.
That is the power, I think, of the tools that we'll be able to really point to. We're early days for sure, but it's almost like, how could it not work? Because the truth is going to be in the number of people we can now reach. We would buy lists, spend a lot of money on lists, and half of the information is missing.
Yeah.
Emails, phone numbers, titles. Now, AI allows you to really enrich this customer data just by merely having the information. We can make the call or the email
Yeah.
land in an email box and potentially, with great content, have it resonate and have people come to us instead of interrupting them in the middle of their day.
Yeah.
So I think it's on the marketing side of things, it's just going to be more is better. Getting it.
And I will tell you, Lisa, PIP Insights, our market research business, I've been looking into this a lot lately. Getting to the right people faster with the right message at the right time is going to become a lot easier. And I think our clients are going to see the benefit of that. That's just one off the top of my head in terms of services that we offer where I think it's going to make a tremendous difference for us. And our clients are already excited about what that means for them and how the metrics change when you have a better list and you have a better way of getting to them. So I think people are becoming more accessible through AI, and I think that only behooves us. So I'm really excited about it. Plus, when you think about AI SDR, they're resilient, right? They don't get tired. They don't get upset because the last person hung up on them. They just keep going, and it knows everything about everything. It knows all about budgets in K-12. It knows what the state of Connecticut is grappling with in terms of technology. It knows that, and it can speak to it, but speak to grants and everything else without really any long training program. So I that's so exciting to me because we spent so much time and effort training our folks, and we'll continue to do that. But also having the ability to kind of backfill with an AI person to help out is a tremendous advantage for us.
Well, and I was talking about AI as automating marketing
Oh, right.
and outreach, but the SDR, true, the bot that can answer questions even just at a very basic level, that's not anything new. Like, we've been calling 800 numbers and talking to bots for years.
Mhm.
It's interesting that now there are some reservations about having an 800 number that somebody who's actually interested could call and ask some questions. That doesn't mean that that's going to close business. You're still going to need really good implementation, potentially, and salespeople, because at the end of the day, humans connect with humans.
Absolutely.
But it's really not fun for someone to make 500 calls a day. And they can't and they don't like it and it's not fun. What they like is speaking to a client, providing information, getting them to the point that they could close faster than they otherwise would have.
Yep.
So it is going to be an education process for people even in these jobs, right? To understand it is not about displacing you, it's about putting you in a place where you could be more successful
Correct.
than you otherwise would have been.
Correct. Listen, these things vet the right opportunities and then can do all the legwork. They could tee the call up on your calendar for they have your calendar in front of them and they can tee a call up on your calendar for later that week and one call. And is that is a huge advantage. And you can get your more experienced people then speaking to qualified clients. And that's a big hurdle to overcome. Where most of our clients struggle with is the top end of the funnel and generating initial interest where they want to learn more about your product. This is gonna be just one tool that makes that a little bit easier for them.
Are you ready to elevate your brand and captivate your audience? At Partner in Publishing, our video marketing services are all about turning your ideas into captivating visual narratives. Whether it's a compelling promotional video, engaging social media content, or informative tutorials, we've got you covered. Our expert team works closely with you to create videos that not only look amazing, but also drive results. Don't just be seen, be remembered. Visit partnerinpublishing.com today and discover how we can help you outshine the competition.
We've had kind of the, PIP eras, right? We started as a basically sales organization.
Yeah.
We realized we could do sales really well, but we're doing it the hard way. How about we do some market research, do market development, get pilots. These are not one call closes. We spent a lot of years doing sales, market development, and light market research. And then we realized, with all this information, we could now put really good stories together and we can go to the market and not do 3 to know and 3 to show, but
Right.
have real proof points on how our solutions solve problems and challenges. And we realized, social media is one way to get this out at scale.
Right.
And websites became really showcase sites and digital brochures. And now LinkedIn is the biggest publisher out there and the place and space where people want to go and learn about content. It's interesting. I read a post the other day that said, LinkedIn isn't your diary. And that's kind of true. I go to Facebook and maybe Instagram to see what's going on in people's personal lives. And I think it's super fun and
Yeah.
it's good to see that. But when I go to LinkedIn, I want to see stuff that's going to make me smarter. And I actually I shop for solutions on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And that is the place, if you do any market research, executive, all the way down the line, you're looking at LinkedIn for stories, proof of concept, referrals. I can't tell. We've gotten referrals on LinkedIn, people referring us. Some of our biggest branding deals have come from, hey, try Partner in Publishing. That is the place and space to amplify your story. And I think now we're in this place where we've evolved how we find success. And AI is really the next front for us.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's what our clients are asking for. It's what really smart employees want. They want to learn new tools. They want to be better. They want to be faster. They want to be more efficient with their time. So I'm excited.
Well, you know what's interesting too is we're getting calls from COOs. We're getting calls from about sales processes, for instance, through AI, right? We're not necessarily getting calls from the usual folks that we hear from. People on a higher level now are looking at how AI is going to transform our business. And those are exciting calls because they're looking at it from a multi-pronged approach. They're looking at how do I do faculty support through AI. They're obviously we talked about the biz dev piece, maybe market research, marketing. But at the end of the day, when they do the math, they're saving quite a bit of money, right? And then they're utilizing their best resources on higher engagements, right? So I'm really excited about that because they're not just in the past, when we started out, people call us and say, we want you to do this one project. And now they're saying, here's our issues. And it's usually on a wide scale. How would you approach that? Sometimes they're just looking for information for us and they're trying to do it themselves, but other times they're really engaged on how we could help them. And that's a much more exciting conversation for you and I to have than the one-off projects, the conversation that we had years ago.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of EdTech Elevated, powered by Partner in Publishing. We hope you found today's episode inspiring and informative. Don't forget to subscribe and stay connected for more insightful conversations with EdTech leaders and innovators. Until next time, follow us on social to keep up with the latest trends in the world of EdTech. I'm Lisa March, and this is EdTech Elevated.